Boom! Gumby the movie. I gotta admit, I don't know very much about Gumby. I never watched the show as a kid or anything like that in reruns, or because it's been going on since the 50s. I think Gumby was actually featured on like the Howdy Doody show back in like 1955 or something like that, way before my time. Gumby was always around when I was a kid, but I mostly remember him just from Eddie Murphy playing Gumby on Saturday Night Live, and he's like, "I'm Gumby, dammit." Some of Eddie Murphy's best work right there. This movie came out in 1995, actually, so it was kind of like a Gumby revival. I mean, I've always liked stop motion, claymation sort of animation. And, like, Gumby can, like, change himself into different things. Like, he can shapeshift and stuff like that. And he can create duplicates of himself. Gumby's got all these amazing powers, and he's just the nicest green little goopy guy that you'd ever want to meet. And he goes on adventures with Pokey, his horse. I have a Pokey here as well as the Gumby. But this Pokey looks like a dog got him. He's missing part of his foot there. Pokey, the horse, isn't actually in Gumby the movie that much. There's a little side plot near the beginning that's like, hey, Pokey, are you feeling left out? And, you know, because this adventure is apparently not going to have you in it very much, so we better give you some screen time and, you know, say sorry. Yeah, so this came out in 1995. Apparently it was a huge box office flop. Like, it cost something like $3 million to make this thing, and it only made like $50,000 in the box office, which is pretty horrible. Yeah, I think it only got like a 1-week release in the theater. Pretty disrespectful to Gumby, if you ask me. But it became a huge hit on home video, fortunately. I guess they eventually made their money back on this. So what's Gumby all about? Well, like I said, he's a little clay guy, and he's got a whole bunch of friends, and he's in a band, actually. This is part of the plot of the movie, it's Gumby and the Clay Boys. And they're like his band, bass player, drummer, and all that. And Gumby, of course, is a lead guitarist. Doesn't sing, though, which is weird. But he's like, when he's playing guitar, it's really weird juxtaposition with all this like kitty-looking little clay figures on screen. And they're playing what sounds like, it sounds like ZZ Top or Joe Satriani or something like that. It's actually pretty good. I don't know, but you're watching Gumby making himself into different shapes and stuff and playing guitar, and you're hearing like this wicked solo, and it was weird. The plot of this movie is pretty intricate and pretty all over the place, really. It's like kind of just one thing leads to the next, and it's all different little vignettes and whatever, but it's all this one overarching story. It has to do with a bunch of people losing their farms, and Gumby wants to put on a benefit concert with his band to raise money for these farmers and stuff. They're putting on a benefit concert, and their dog, who is like a what do you call it? Like a wiener dog or whatever, and he rides around on a skateboard, and he's called Low Belly. So Low Belly the dog is watching this benefit concert, and he's crying tears of pearls. They never explain how he does this or why this happens, or except that he only does it when Gumby is playing his music and changing his shape and stuff like that, and it's weird. And then these like guys that are actually from the loan company that's foreclosing on all these farms and stuff, they're at this benefit concert as well, and they see this, and since they're the bad guys, they're the blockheads, they decide they want to kidnap the dog, and thus getting him to make all these pearls and get rich and whatever. So they kidnap the dog, but they make a robot clone of the dog and send him back to Gumby and his friends. Then they find out that the dog can't cry pearls unless he's actually listening to Gumby perform. And it also has to be the actual Gumby. But they don't know this, so they're trying to figure it out. So what they do is they kidnap the band members, and they clone them, and they make robot clones of them, and they eventually get Gumby as well, and they like abduct them, and they throw them in the back of this van, and they turn on the refrigerator unit or whatever, and they freeze them because they're like clay, and they're all solid and frozen and suspended animation or whatever, I guess. And then they clone them, and then they try and get those cloned band members to play songs for the dog so that he will cry pearls for them. Like, what the fuck is going on? All you're seeing is like every second scene, it's like, get in the van. Yeah, it's just these bad guys, the blockheads. They have these like a master computer or whatever, and they live inside a book. Like, Gumby's thing is like he travels from book to book, and sometimes in this even into like video cassettes and things. Yeah, so these guys live in a science book. Gumby lives in a farm book. It's trippy and weird, and it just goes on and on and on and on, and there's so many weird details in there. You get Gumby's friends. Like I said, you got your band members, the Clay Boys, then of course Pokey, the horse. You got Low Belly, the dog. Then there's like this flying mermaid named Goo. The yellow dinosaur guy, he's kind of like Squidward. He's like the grumpy guy. And his name is Prickle, I guess because he's a prick all the time. Yeah, and then so the whole thing ends up that they make a robot clone of Gumby. Robot Gumby wants to destroy actual Gumby, and I guess, I don't know, get rich from the dog's pearl tears or whatever. But the robot, which is like, I guess supposed to be like Terminator or something like that, follows Gumby through different adventures near the end of the movie. They go to the Camelot and King Arthur's court. Gumby gets a suit of armor, and the robot pulls Excalibur from the stone, and then they go into outer space, and they get on board the starship, and they find like lightsabers. They're just sitting there on the table, and so we get to see Gumby cut Excalibur in half with a lightsaber, and I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, and so it ends up that they defeat the robot clones, and they defeat the blockheads and their insidious plan to kick old widows off their farms or something. And it's truly strange, and like not in a bad way though. I mean, I was entertained. Most of the time I was like, what the fuck's gonna happen next? Like, this is nuts. There's one scene where a bunch of the sidekick characters all get mashed together in some sort of an accident or something, and they have to go into the lab, and it's like super serious, and they go into this medical lab, and they have to like reconstitute them and, shoot them with fancy magic rays or whatever to separate them and back into their own parts. And that's right near the beginning, and even then I was like, when that happened, I was like, okay, no holds barred here. But yeah, the music is good, the animation is pretty neat, like, all the miniature sets they make and all the little clay figures and all the things they can do and the situations they get into is all kind of interesting, and it's harmless. This whole movie is completely inoffensive to anybody. That's kind of the whole thing about Gumby. He's a super positive guy, and he's, let's just get things done and get together and get along, and okay, fine, Gumby, thanks, It's good for kids. I'm not, what would I give this overall? As I don't know, I guess like a B. Because I was entertained. Like I said, I like the music, I like the stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't probably watch this over and over again, and I wouldn't call this like a great kids movie, but it's a good kids movie. It's not really gonna teach you any lessons or anything like that. It's not educational in any way. It's just goofy, fun little characters doing stupid things. So a B. Gumby gets a B. A Gumby. So until next time, folks, have a good one.